Welcome to the Network Plus Prepcast, your dedicated audio companion for mastering every objective on the CompTIA Network Plus certification exam. This series is produced by baremetalcyber.com. In episode 137, we explore one of the most essential operational tasks in network administration, safeguarding device configurations. Backing up routers, switches, firewalls, and wireless controllers ensures that when failure occurs, whether from hardware faults, accidental misconfiguration, or malicious attacks, restoring service is fast, accurate, and controlled. For Network Plus candidates, understanding how to perform backups, where to store them, and how to use them during restoration is a must-have skill tested frequently in configuration and disaster recovery questions. Configuration backups are not optional in serious network environments. They are a core part of operational readiness, ensuring that critical device settings are never lost and that recovery procedures can be performed with confidence. A configuration file might include everything from interface IP addresses and routing logic to access control lists and VLAN definitions. Without backups, recovering from a hardware failure could take hours or days. With backups, it's often minutes. This episode will guide you through what to back up, how to store it, how to restore it, and how this topic connects directly to certification exam objectives. When backing up network devices, administrators must focus on capturing the right files. This includes both the startup configuration and the running configuration. The startup config is stored in non-volatile memory and is loaded during boot. The running config resides in RAM and reflects the device's current active state. Other elements to backup include VLAN databases, routing tables, firmware images, and bootloader files. These files determine how the device operates and must be included in a comprehensive backup plan. On the exam, you'll need to know the difference between these components and which are essential for recovery. There are several types of backups used in network environments. Manual backups are performed on demand, usually before planned changes or after major updates. Automated backups are scheduled to run at regular intervals, daily, weekly, or after any configuration change. The storage location can be on-premises or in the cloud. Many organizations use a mix of these options depending on how critical the devices are. Expect exam questions that ask when manual versus automated backups are appropriate and how backup types fit into network management strategies. Choosing where to store backups is just as important as the backup itself. Common storage methods include TFTP and FTP servers for internal use, USB flash drives for portable backups, and secure cloud storage platforms for geographic diversity and redundancy. Each method has its pros and cons. TFTP is fast but insecure unless contained in a trusted environment. USB devices are portable but may be misplaced. Cloud options offer scalability and off-site protection but may require careful credential management. The exam may test your knowledge of backup storage methods and their security implications. Backup file naming and versioning practices are crucial for managing multiple configurations. Best practice involves including timestamps or version numbers in phone, for example, CoreSug, Conjac, July 1st, 2025-10. This ensures you can track when backups were created, compare them over time, and avoid accidentally overwriting current configurations. It also allows for version rollback in the event that a recent change causes problems. On the exam, expect to see questions about backup tracking and how versioning supports troubleshooting and configuration management. Stored backups must be secured. These files contain sensitive network data, such as IP addressing, access credentials, firewall rules, and system roles that could be exploited if exposed. Backups should be encrypted during storage in transit, restricted to authorized users through file permissions or role-based access control, and stored in secure locations. Off-network or off-site storage reduces the risk of ransomware or internal compromise. You may be asked on the exam how to secure backups and what risks exist if backup files are not protected properly. Scheduling regular backups is a best practice that aligns closely with change management and maintenance windows. Backups should be scheduled during or immediately after approved changes so the latest configuration state is captured. Automation tools can trigger backups based on events or schedules and should include verification checks to confirm completion and file integrity. Without regular testing, You won't know if your backup jobs are actually usable. The exam may include questions about backup frequency and how automation ensures consistency across large networks. It's important to understand the distinction between startup and running configurations. The startup config is stored in persistent memory and is loaded when the device reboots. The running config exists in volatile memory and represents the current live state of the device. When changes are made, they update the running config immediately, but unless those changes are saved, they are lost at reboot. Synchronizing these files is crucial. On the exam, be prepared to answer questions about config synchronization and how failure to save changes affects recovery. Restoring a configuration from backup is a straightforward but vital process. It usually involves uploading the backup file to the device via TFTP, USB or cloud connection, and applying the settings either by overwriting the current configuration or merging selected sections. After the restore, a reboot may be necessary. Verification steps should follow, including checking connectivity, interface status, routing behavior, and security policies. The exam may ask you to choose the correct steps for restoring a device from backup or to identify post-restore validation procedures. Some platforms support rollback or partial restore options. Instead of applying the entire backup file, you may only want to restore specific elements, such as VLAN configurations or interface settings. This can be useful when resolving isolated problems or reversing part of a failed configuration change. Tools like configuration diff utilities can compare the current running config to the backup and highlight changes. These selective recovery options provide flexibility and reduce risk. The exam may include questions on when partial restores are appropriate and how diff tools assist in configuration recovery. For more cyber content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other podcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Backup processes play a direct role in change management. Before implementing updates, applying patches, or altering device configurations, teams should create a verified backup. This precaution ensures that if the new configuration introduces errors, the previous state can be quickly restored. Backups are often referenced in change request tickets and are sometimes a required step before approval is granted. On the Network Plus exam, you'll likely see questions that involve pre-change preparations, and understanding where backups fit into that workflow is essential. Configuration templates provide another layer of control and consistency during backup and restore operations. These templates define standardized settings for particular device roles, such as access switches, core routers, or wireless controllers. Templates streamline deployment and ensure that best practices and security policies are applied uniformly. They also serve as a reference when restoring configurations, especially if customized settings have drifted from the standard. The exam may present scenarios where template-based configuration simplifies recovery or ensures consistency after hardware replacement. Numerous tools and platforms exist to support backup operations. Many network devices include native commands to export and import configurations. For example, Cisco iOS offers copy running Kong TFT PFOP to save a live config to a TFTP server. Other vendors provide their own syntax and platforms. In larger environments, network management systems like SolarWinds or Auvik can automate backups across hundreds of devices. Administrators can also use scripting through Python, Ansible, or Shell scripts to schedule and verify backups. On the exam, expect questions about common commands, platform functions, and automation benefits. Disaster recovery planning must include configuration backups. These backups are not standalone. They work in tandem with other recovery components, such as server images, database snapshots, and storage replicas. In a true recovery scenario, having all systems back online isn't enough if routers and switches are misconfigured. Backups stored alongside broader disaster recovery assets allow for coordinated restoration. For the exam, you may be asked how configuration backups integrate with disaster recovery plans and why they are essential to full system restoration. Monitoring and reporting tools play an important role in ensuring backups are working correctly. Failed backup jobs should trigger alerts, and logs must confirm that backups were completed successfully. These reports should be reviewed regularly, not just during emergencies. Monitoring ensures that devices haven't been added to the network without being added to the backup system, and it helps identify patterns of failure that require further attention. You'll likely see exam questions that include backup status monitoring or failure detection as part of operational oversight. In virtualized environments, backups extend beyond physical devices. Hypervisors and virtual switches need configuration backups just like physical equipment. This includes saving vSwitch settings, virtual NIC configurations, and distributed switch profiles. Network segments, defined in virtual platforms like VMware or Hyper-V, should be exported or replicated, along with the VMs they serve. Backup tools integrated with these platforms help ensure consistency across both virtual and physical layers. Expect the exam to test your understanding of how virtualization affects backup strategy. For the Network Plus exam, backup and restore topics appear in both concept-based and procedural formats. You may be asked to identify the correct command for saving a configuration, choose the right storage method for sensitive environments, or recognize the consequences of using an outdated backup. Knowing the difference between running and startup configs, understanding scheduling strategies, and recognizing the risk of configuration drift are all part of the exam expectation. Studying these tasks in depth supports both test readiness and day-to-day competence. To summarize, effective backup and restore practices protect your network configurations from loss, simplify recovery, and support change control. Backups must be planned, scheduled, and tested regularly. Files should be stored securely, tracked through versioning, and validated before being used for restoration. Whether through manual exports, automated systems, or template-driven tools, your approach to backups directly affects how fast your network recovers from unexpected events. On the exam, being able to match tools, commands, and policies to backup scenarios will demonstrate your operational knowledge. To conclude episode 137, remember that a network's reliability depends not just on its design, but on how well it can be restored. Configuration backups are your insurance against missteps, failures, and disasters. Properly naming, storing, and securing these backups ensures you're always one step ahead of the unexpected. For Network Plus candidates, mastering these concepts helps you safeguard uptime, pass the exam with confidence, and maintain a resilient network in your professional practice. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Network Plus Prepcast, your trusted audio guide to the CompTIA Network Plus certification. This episode was produced by baremetalcyber.com. For more cybersecurity podcasts, books, and resources, visit baremetalcyber.com. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal Cybersecurity Plus podcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com. And before you take the test, make sure to check out the practice questions in the book Achieve CompTIA Security Plus SY0-701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. They cover every domain and are a powerful way to lock in your knowledge.